Am I wrong for refusing to pay for my husband's family to go on vacation with us and then leaving without him? I am a 45-year-old female. I share 4 beautiful children, 23, 20, 17, 14, with my husband, male 49. We've been together for nearly 30 years and married for 24. We always take a big family vacation every summer. Due to COVID, that was put on a hiatus. Usually he pays for his parents and vice versa. Together we pay for our children. One of his brothers needed help, so my husband decided to cover him and his family. My husband retired a couple of years ago. We've always had separate accounts and a joint account. He has always been an avid hunter and fisherman. We are not rich, but we do live comfortably. I managed our finances to get us to this point. Now, when he retired, he started managing his money because I didn't agree with his irrational purchases. He recently invested a large portion of his savings into a large hunting tract, citing it was a steal he couldn't turn down. Mind you, we live on a large property where the hunting game is in abundance. I didn't understand the need to buy more acreage. Maybe it's a hunting thing. I reminded him that our trip was coming up and that he should have waited to make the purchase, since to cover his brother and his family of 6, plus his parents, would be expensive. He assured me that he had it covered. I come home to a pretty boat in our driveway. I don't know a thing about boats, but all I saw was money. My husband receives a nice pension each month, but a percentage of it goes to our joint account and the rest to his savings. I calculated the land, and finally learning about the price of the boat, I knew he couldn't possibly have enough to cover the trip, which included our kids as well. So I asked him how he was planning on paying. He said he had it covered. Time rolls around for us to book everything. He mentions that he noticed I had a significant amount of money in my personal account and he was wondering if I could pay for the entire trip and he would pay me back his half. I told him no. He was aware of this trip and ignored it. My husband hates owing anybody and therefore would find a reason why he shouldn't have to pay me back, which is a con artist move to me. I proposed he sign an agreement to repay me with interest if he didn't pay me back in a set amount of time. We had a huge argument about it and he ended up leaving. I called and texted, no response. I received nasty texts from his mom and his sisters about how I was treating him. Therefore, I booked my family and I was even kind enough to purchase his ticket, though I hadn't seen or heard from him in over 2 weeks. The moment we left for vacation, the harassing calls and texts started. I turned my phone off and enjoyed my vacation. I came home to a nasty letter and his wedding ring stating that he wouldn't be returning until I apologized to him and his family for how I treated them. I'm not apologizing, but I am wondering, am I wrong for not paying and suggesting him paying me back? I don't think you're wrong. I think he was over splurging and he was buying stuff he couldn't afford, so I get it. But I don't know. I'm not married. I don't know how to deal with this shit.
Am I the asshole for telling my niece the family secret? I, 35 female, had 2 older sisters growing up, Jane and Kim. Kim got sick and died, but not before giving birth to my niece, Laura, 18 female. It had been a year after Kim's passing when Jane and Laura's dad, Tom, 42 male, confessed to dating and were now engaged. Everyone was surprised, but no one was vocally disgusted as me. I accused them of cheating. Jane and Tom explained that this wasn't something they had planned, but there was no cheating, and knew that Kim would want them to be happy. Convenient since she's, dead. I did not attend the wedding and was upset at how everyone else was so accepting of the relationship. But the thing that hurt me the most was how Jane and Tom intended to completely erase Kim from Laura's life. She was barely 2 when Kim died, and they decided it would be better if Laura thought Jane was her mother, in every sense of the word, after the adoption was finalized. Tom got rid of any items that would suggest he and Kim were ever in a relationship, and made his family swear to never tell Laura the truth. Jane expected everyone on our side of the family to do the same, but I refused, and as such, I was denied access to Laura. It hurt, but when I thought about all those times Kim cried knowing that she wouldn't live long enough to see Laura grow up, there was just no way I could honor the lie. They even had Laura's name legally changed to something that Jane liked, as Kim picked out Laura's first name. I distanced myself from my family over time over this, but my parents always tried to get us to reconcile, citing that they didn't like this arrangement either, but accepting it was better than not being a part of Laura's life at all. I just couldn't do it. Growing up, Laura had known of me, but we never really interacted. Apparently, she's interested in studying a field that I work in and reached out to me through social media. The last time I saw her in person, she was 7, and I started to tear up at how much she looked like Kim. We would talk from time to time, and eventually Laura asked why I wasn't around. I tried to keep it vague, but Laura knew that there was more to the story, as I didn't seem like the person I was described to be. If we had been talking through DMs like before, I probably wouldn't have done it, but we were video chatting, and something about looking directly into her eyes broke me, and I confessed to everything. Before Kim died, she and I made a series of videos for Laura to watch at her big moments, and I told her that if she ever wanted to watch any of them, I'd send them. Laura asked me to send some, and then I heard nothing from her for days. Recently, I got a call from an enraged Jane and Tom, berating me for ruining their family. After Laura watched some of the videos, she confronted my parents, who confirmed everything. Laura has moved out and currently not speaking to anyone, and no one knows where she is right now. Everyone is angry at me. Am I the asshole? Oh my God.
That's
okay?
heartbreaking.
I know. No, you're gonna make me fucking cry. This is the first one, bitch.
Oh my God. Wow.
Story time about how my husband's trying to convince me to become an escort. Disclaimers, now my story time is sending me on Instagram. My husband and I have been married for almost 6 years. We did get separated for 2 years, so technically we've been together for around 4 years. We had separated during COVID mainly because he doesn't want to have kids, and I desperately want to have children. And yes, when we got married, we did talk about having kids, and he said he wasn't sure. But after we got married, he basically told me that he did not want to have kids, which is obviously something that I did not sign up for when I married him. I began to resent him a lot because I could have been with somebody else, someone who wanted to have kids. But instead, I spent years with him only to find out that he did not want to have kids. I ended up asking him for a break, and that was basically during COVID. So we were basically broken up for all of 2020. This is where I'm assuming he started getting his ideas. We finally got back together in 2021. I had gone on a couple of dates with some really terrible guys, and I basically thought to myself, well, you know, my husband's not like that, so I guess I should get back with him. As soon as we moved in together, he started talking about escorts. He told me one of his friends uses an escort service, and he thought it might be a good idea to start one. Part 2 is up. Story time about how my husband's trying to convince me to become an escort. Disclaimers, now my story time is sending me on Instagram. After he told me he was thinking about starting his own escort agency, I completely lost it. First off, I didn't want my husband to be involved in that, and secondly, I just think it would bring so many problems. He told me that we should just think about it, and I asked him to show me numbers. You know, how much do people make? And he didn't know anything about it. He had done zero research. After that, we didn't speak about it for a few weeks. Not until he asked me what I thought about being an escort. At first, I was confused, like, me being an escort? Or what I thought about escorts being escorts. I told him escorts can do anything they want, as long as they're safe and happy. Then he said, well, we should look into you becoming an escort. I started to laugh and he's like, no, I'm serious. And that's when it hit me. This whole time he was trying to convince me to become an escort? His own wife? What does that say about us? What does that say about the relationship and how he feels about me? So I turned it around and told him that he should become an escort. Then he said, I'm not as good looking as you, so I wouldn't make enough money. That's when he confessed that he had signed me up to 2 different escort websites. And he had conversations with guys pretending to be me. Party is up. Story time about how my husband's trying to get me to become an escort. That's when he confessed that he had already signed me up to several escort websites and that he had been having conversations with different men pretending to be me. Then he pulls out his phone and shows me all the conversations. Most of the men were trying to make me their sugar babies and were offering me upwards of $5,000 a month just to go on dates with him. The look in my husband's face was of excitement and happiness. I was mortified. I couldn't believe that my husband was even entertaining the idea. After he finishes showing me all of the messages between him and these other men, he tells me that we could be earning about $22,000 a month, and all I'd have to do is just go on dates with these guys. I started to cry and he told me that I was overreacting, and that most women would kill to be in my place. I told him these men would expect much more than just going on dates, and he swears up and down that they won't. Now the thing is, we have had money trouble, so I see where he's coming from, but I just don't know. He's still trying to convince me, and he shows me messages from these guys every single day. Most of these men are in their 50s, and one of these guys was actually really attractive. The money sounds so good, but I don't know what to do. I feel like I would resent my husband eventually. I mean, what if I fall in love with one of them? What should I do?
My boyfriend, 21 male, and I, 20 female, have been together for almost 3 years. Last night, we were looking at furniture on his phone for our new apartment. We are moving in together in 2 months. I have a habit of swiping out of all apps and tabs when I'm done with them, and in doing so, I saw something I really wish I hadn't. It was a tab that said, quote, 40-year-old MILF, mom, big tits, short black hair. He described my mom. When I turned the phone to show him, he just sat there, looking shocked for a minute. Then he started stuttering, crying, and apologizing. All I said was, quote, are you attracted to my mom? Do you watch that looks like my mom? He kept apologizing over and over, and I just asked him to explain. It took him a while to get the words out. He admitted he is attracted to older women, moms specifically. He said he was just curious, and it came to his mind to search my mom's description to, quote, see if there were any stars that looked like her. He claims it was a one-time thing and showed me the rest of his history, which was mostly just stepsister, lesbian, and sometimes MILF, but no other searches that matched my mom's description. He was so embarrassed by it. I don't really care that he watches. I'm not trying to judge him or shame him, but I just feel so grossed out and humiliated that my boyfriend thought about my mom. He also said he promises he doesn't have a weird obsession with my mom and doesn't think about her like that when we are with her. He also said it's normal for guys with mommy issues to be into MILFs. He has extensive mommy issues. And not that that's an excuse, but I can see how his mom-related trauma could shape the kinds of watches. I can't help but feel disgusted that my partner is attracted to my mom. We talked about this for a long time last night and he apologized. Said he was going to talk to a therapist and overall seemed really remorseful and conscious of my feelings. He promised it would never happen again, but I'm just afraid that he will still feel some type of way about her. When I told him that I'm scared that this is something deeper, he denied it. Then he said he thinks that it's normal for guys to be attracted to their girlfriends' moms, especially since my mom is still pretty young. Him trying to normalize it made it feel even more disgusting to me. Is that true? This whole thing is making me second guess if we should move in together, but I don't want this relationship to be over. He is a good person and a great boyfriend, and I just can't believe this is happening. I love him so much, and aside from this, we don't have any other major issues. I think I'm dating the man that got me pregnant on a one-night stand.
Wow. Spicy.
I'm a single mother to a beautiful little girl from a one-night stand about 4.5 years ago. I had just finished college and had just moved and wasn't looking for anything serious. It also happened just before I left on my 2-month-long post-college vacation. I have been dating this man now for 4 months. He's met my daughter once. They get along extremely well, but I don't let them overlap too much. I don't want to expose her to passing flings. And though he has mentioned wanting to continue, we aren't quite serious yet. Prior to last week, he's been coming back to my place because I had a bad experience going to another man's place a couple of years ago. So I went back to his place for the first time. It's the same fucking building as that man. I didn't really recognize it until we pulled into the parking garage and went up the elevator, but I know it is. I recognized the hallways instantly. It also had a very recognizable condo smell. I don't know why I remember that, but I feel like they use the cleaning solutions that spas use, and it smells like eucalyptus and apartment musk. The condo itself is similar, but it's been 4 years, and I honestly don't remember anything but his room, and that he had a red couch and the layout, which I'm assuming is similar for most of the condos. He doesn't have the couch, but the layout's the same, and I'm pretty sure it has the same view from its main window. Before people come for me for not hunting him down, etc., when we slept together, I had just moved to the city after my master's. I never would have found his condo myself because I bussed back. Also, we had been drinking, obviously.
Sorry, when you said bust back, I was thinking like bust it down because I bust back. Anyway,
Bust it down, Tatiana.
Yeah. Oh, okay, go on.
It's been a week, but I genuinely think it's him now because, though they were busy, we met both times at 2 very similar events. 4 years ago, the man had shoulder-length wavy dark hair and a thick beard when we slept together. He does have a similar skin tone, kinda Mediterranean. The man I am dating has short cropped dark hair, like I'll ever be able to get over this weird feeling that it is. Is there a way to bring this up? Should I message him and let him have the option to ghost me? I'm scared he'll think I'm crazy if I bring this up, or that I planned it, or something weird like that. How do I approach this? Or should it not be approached at all? It's so fucking mental. I don't know what to do.
Pluck his hair. Swab his cheek.
Sorry if absolutely none of this makes any sense. Also, to be clear, I am stable time-wise and money-wise. I do not need this man in my life. My daughter has 2 amazing father figures in her uncles who visit every other day and absolutely love their roles in her life and would probably steal her if they could.
That's really cool.
That was really amazing.
Story time about how I dumped my girlfriend when I found out she had cancer. Am I the bad guy? My girlfriend and I have dated for almost 7 years. In that time, she always wanted to get married, but I never really felt married, so I never proposed. 2 years ago, I started feeling ready and I decided to buy a ring. But unfortunately, she was diagnosed with cancer. She ended up having to stay in the hospital for a few months and underwent a bunch of therapy. All the treatments and everything were making her lose her hair, and I pretty much became totally unattracted to her. I know this sounds so harsh, but it's the truth. I struggled every single day as I fell out of love with her. When I talked to my mom about this, she told me to just have patience and to stick it out. But I just could not do it. I also didn't want to deal with having to take her to the hospital and helping her with the medication and helping her with the treatments. I wanted my own life. And suddenly I found myself having to drive her everywhere, feed her, clothe her, basically do everything for her. After a while, I asked her mom to move in with us to help me out. And this is when stuff started getting really bad. Her mom was basically taking care of her 24/7, so I pretty much did whatever I wanted. I would go out with my friends, and I even started dating other girls. Here's the thing. My girlfriend and her family have a lot of money, so I basically didn't have to work at all while I was with her. Her parents paid for our rent and pretty much everything we ever did, so I couldn't really break up with her. Part 2 is up. Storytime about how I dumped my girlfriend when she got cancer. Am I the bad guy? My girlfriend's parents paid for our rent and pretty much everything we did. And of course, at the time, I didn't really want to get a job. So I really only stayed in the relationship for the money. Like I said in part 1, my girlfriend's mom moved in with us to help me take care of her. But I pretty much took advantage and decided to start dating other people. I downloaded every dating app I could think of, and I would go on dates every single day. I lied to my girlfriend and her mom and told them that I got a new job. This way I could pretty much stay out all day. So I found myself with all of this new freedom. Would go on dates and pay for everything with my girlfriend's money. I know you guys probably hate me right now, but it gets worse. After a few weeks, I ended up with 2 new girlfriends. So in total, I had 3 girlfriends. And I got really good at lying to each one and spending time with them. I'd see one of them every single morning and I would tell her that I was going to go to work. But then I would really go to the other girlfriend's house and spend the afternoon with her. And then I would end up going back to my apartment where my original girlfriend lived. And I would spend the rest of the night with her. At this point, she was starting to feel better with all the treatments. But I was just not attracted to her anymore. Part 3 is up. Storytime about how I dumped my girlfriend when she got cancer. Am I the asshole? So at this point, I had 3 girlfriends at the same time, and I was getting really good at lying to them. But since I really didn't have a job and I only used my girlfriend's money to survive, I needed to stay with her. I just didn't find myself attracted to her at all anymore. So I decided to be honest with her and I told her that I wasn't attracted to her, just to see how she would react. She didn't even get mad, she just started to cry and beg me not to leave her. That's when she told me that she didn't want to be alone. But at that point, I just couldn't do it anymore. I was falling in love with my other girlfriends. Here's what I did. I went to my other 2 girlfriends and told them a new story. I told them that I got fired from my new job and that I needed a place to move in. I also told them that I wouldn't be able to afford rent. One of them basically kicked me out of her apartment, but the other one told me that I could stay with her for as long as I wanted to without having to pay for rent. So that's the girl that I went with. Then I went to my OG girlfriend's house and I told her that I just couldn't be with her anymore and that I had fallen for someone else. This broke her heart and her dad was really close to kicking my ass. They took all my credit cards and cut me out of her account. So I'm broke as hell right now, but at least I'm happier. Eventually I'm gonna have to get an actual job, so I'm still trying to figure that out. But my current girlfriend is